Good morning and welcome to Litmus Test. Today we're going to continue thermodynamics. I said last time I didn't know what we were going to do. I thought about quantum. I still think about quantum. But before we do that, we're going to talk about thermodynamics because, well, we kind of started on it and we already talked about some. So we're going to continue talking about thermodynamics, but with a lot less math, just with, words. And to help with this idea of just words and ideas, I have here a book labeled Thermo-Vocab, Vocabulary of Thermodynamics. And today, we're just going to look at page 1 here, Systems and Surroundings. Surroundings is the system and surroundings. Whenever we talk about thermodynamics, we care a lot about the system and the surroundings. This is not a hard idea. The system is just whatever thing we are looking at, whatever is being studied or considered, and the surroundings is everything else. One way to think about the system and surroundings is to imagine a box. We could say that the system, a system, might be everything inside my little house here. Of course, my house has an open balcony, but we could still say that, standing on that balcony is part of that system. We could say that a system is anything we can put a fence around. We might say that this tree is a system. We can put a fence around it. We can call that tree a system. We could say that this pig is a system. Yes, the pig can eat and breathe and do other things, but it's still a thing that we can study and talk about, so we call it a system. In chemistry, you might call a system a flask of chemicals that you're going to do some reactions in. Or you might call it 2 flasks of chemicals. A system can be multiple things. A system can be this lake and that tree. Notice that we can draw a fence or a box around the whole thing, and so we can call the whole thing a system. A system can be more than just that. But we're going to stick with the fences for a moment longer, because fences have gates, and a gate allows a system to become open. This system is now an open system, whereas these systems are closed systems. The difference, of course, is whether you can go in or out of the system. That is, can both matter and energy go between the system and the surroundings. If this lake and tree are the system, then the surroundings is, well, everything else. Everything else, that tree and these models and that pig and the house, and everything else is the surroundings. And if this is an open system, we can go in and out. This pig, fortunately for us, is in a closed system. It cannot actually escape this fence, which is generally what most players want. Most players do not want their pigs in an open system. However, systems can be defined to be a little bit bigger and more general. You could imagine that with enough work, we could draw a big fence around this lake, or even around the entire peninsula. You can imagine that with enough work, we could put this whole peninsula and just cut it off right there, and just call the entire peninsula, including those islands, a system. You can imagine then that we could even call the entire world a system, and the surroundings might be the sky. Such a system and such a surroundings describe a third type of system. We had the open and closed systems where you can enter or not enter, but in both cases you could see inside. Consider also the isolated system. The isolated system is a system which is separate from its surroundings. Matter cannot pass through it, and neither can energy. So, if this dirt and tree are the system, and if we want to make it isolated, we might simply cover it. And thus this system is now isolated. Within regular survival mode Minecraft, there is no force that can penetrate this system. It is completely isolated. Energy does not go through. We can demonstrate that with our good old favorite, just a little bit of TNT and a little torch. As everyone knows, this system, well, gosh, that's embarrassing. I clearly don't do enough redstone. My goodness. Let's try something a little bit more sensible. If this doesn't work, I'm going to be very, I'm just going to have to do the whole video over again. There we go. This system is isolated. Everything inside, well, most everything inside is perfectly safe, except for the part where the tree isn't. My goodness, how embarrassing. Here, let's just put that back in there, and we'll just cover that up, and we'll pretend like that part made sense and works perfectly well, and leave today with a little note that analogies are not always perfect, and videos aren't always perfect, and examples aren't always perfect, and I shouldn't use TNT for such things. But hopefully that gave you the idea about systems and surroundings, that a system is anything that we can draw an imaginary box around or a real box, and they can be open, closed, or isolated, depending on how we want matter and energy to go between them. We're going to use this concept in the next and of all the future videos as we talk about other things of systems, such as energy, enthalpy, entropy, and so on. So until next time, thanks for watching, and don't catch on fire.